What the hell is up, everybody? Louis back here again for another excellent Saturday of fights. UFC London number 2. Tom Aspinall taking on Curtis Razor Blades for heavyweight supremacy, potentially. Who knows what's happening in heavyweight, but this is a huge-ass matchup. And that's not all. No. You got Paddy the Baddy taking on Jordan the Monkey King Leavitt. You got Jack the Joker Hermansson taking on Chris Action Man Curtis for a huge matchup at middleweight. And a whole lot more. Alexander Gustafsson is coming back, for God's sake. Anyway, let's get into it. Last weekend, I did good, but I should have bet on Li Jingliang. Lost money. My fault. Anyway, let's get right into it here. The very first fight of the night, 170 pounds. Men's middleweight. Middleweight, you got Claudio Silva taking on Nicholas Dalby. Dalby coming back after a little over a year layoff or something like that. Silva took on Court McGee his last fight. In the first round, he crashes into him, gets taken down pretty much right away. But then he steps in the pocket, but he eats a 1-2. But then he jabs 2 double, and then he gets the clinch on the fence. And then he lands a left cross from range. So starting to find his striking range here. Then in the second round, he gets a double off of the fence, but he's not able to hold him down very long. But he gets reversed on his double leg attempt, and he tries a foot sweep, but he gets reversed on his double leg attempt, and he tries to foot sweep into half guard, but it doesn't really work for him. Then in the third round, he lands a left hook to the body and then to the head, 1-2, and then he lands a body kick and then an overhand left. Then he gets his body lock. He gets the body lock, but he gets taken down with a double against the fence. So, just couldn't really find the muscle toward the end there. Then Nicholas Dalby took on Tim Means his last fight. In the first round, he eats a head kick, but then he lands some hooks when they're inside the clinch. Then he gets taken down with a lat drop, though, from there. But he's able to get back up, and he gets dropped with the 1-2 while he's skirting along the fence. A little timid to engage here. And then in the second round, he gets pressed, but he lands a body kick and some short hooks. And then he lands a knee when they're fighting on the inside. And then he walks into some 1-2s, however. But then he rushes forward with some hooks on the inside, and he gets dropped with a leg kick. And then he gets controlled inside control, but not too much damage. Then in the third round, he lands some hooks on the inside, and then he rocks him with the overhand right, and he's able to get the clinch, but then the clinch gets reversed, going to a clinch battle. Kind of missed an opportunity to finish the fight there, in my opinion. The betting line, Nicholas Dalby, -230, Claudio Silva, +195. I'm just going to go with Nicholas Dalby. I know it's a little bit of a layoff, but the biggest thing to me is that Dalby stays in there, he stays in your face, he stays active. Claudio Silva, he just became a little bit more demoralized as the fight went on. And I just think Nicholas Dalby's going to be in and out, and he's going to be able to hit him with some hard shots and drop him, get a clinch to a takedown if he needs to. Nicholas Dalby, first fight of the night. Second fight of the night, 125 pounds, women's featherweight. You got Mandy BOHM taking on Victoria Leonardo. Lower level women's matchup here, but should be a fun one. BOHM took on Ariana Lipski, her last fight. In the first round, she rushes forward, tries to get the body lock, but then she gets reversed. But then she eats a head kick and a right hook while she's just kind of standing there at range, caught slipping. Then in the second round, she eats overhand off of her jab, but she's able to land a back fist. But she gets clinched, then eats some knees in the clinch there. And then she rushes in, eats a short right, and she gets dropped from there. A little too much. And then in the third round, she eats a head kick while she's coming into the pocket. And then she's in the pocket, she eats a 1-2 to the body, and then she gets dropped with the right hook over top of that. So, just took a lot of damage in that fight, but she did keep coming forward, which, you got to respect that. Then Victoria Leonardo took on Melissa Gatto, her last fight. In the first round, she gets clinched to the fence and taken down with the inside trip. But then she defends an armbar, but she gets her back taken. But then she's able to keep scooting out, arms inside, scoot out, and then she's able to turn in and reverse the position for a little bit. No damage, but still, it's good to see her get out of there. Then in the second round, she skirts the fence, but she eats some jabs, gets cut off on the cage. Then she gets rocked with the 1-2 while she's coming forward. But then her double attempt to get stuffed, and then after the second round, she has a broken hand, doctor stoppage. What are you gonna do? She looked okay, but it is what it is. Victoria Leonardo +100, Mandy BOHM -120. Lower level women's fight, Victoria Leonardo, even money, pick her. Mandy BOHM took a lot of damage her last fight, and Leonardo looks like she has an advantage in the grappling, just has a bit of a stronger base. Honestly, don't know too much about it, but lower level women's, go to underdog, Victoria Leonardo. Third fight of the night at 155 pounds, men's lightweight. You got Jai Herbert taking on Kyle Nelson. Herbert took on Ilia Topuria his last fight. And in the first round, he eats some jabs at range, but then he's able to drop him with a head kick whenever Topuria steps in for the hook. Nice counter there. Really crazy moment. But then he gets clinched and taken down with the double after that. Then he's able to land some knees whenever he escapes, and then he lands some straight shots at range. Then he jabs, and then he lands a straight right against the fence. So pretty good round for Herbert there. And then in the second round, he pumps some jabs and as he comes in, and then he circles out, moving in and out, nice movement. But then he gets pressed to the fence by Topuria. Then he eats a left hook to the body and then a right hook to the head and gets KO'd. That classic combo, bam, bam. What are you going to do, man? But Topuria was a huge favorite, and Jai Herbert dropped him, almost finished him. I mean, come on. And then Kyle Nelson took on Billy Quarantillo, his last fight. In the first round, he landed, this was like around 2 years ago or something like that, I believe. It was a while ago, during no fans. In the first round, he lands a body kick on the fence. He misses the uppercut, but he's able to rip the body against the fence. He's able to get around his back on the fence, but he can't get him down because Billy's really tough. And then he gets pressured back with some hooks, and then he gets double-legged and gets clinched to the fence. Can't really get out of there. Then in the second round, he lands a right hook and a body kick whenever Billy presses him. Then he eats a right hook and he gets doubled off the fence this time. But he eats some hooks on the inside. His takedown attempt is stuffed, and he eats some nasty ground and pound from Billy. And then in the third round, literally right away, gets KO'd with a classic 1-2. Pretty much just exhaustion there. So real quick, yeah, so that fight was at 145. Kyle Nelson is moving up to 155. Kyle Nelson plus 215. Jai Herbert minus 255. Don't like the odds, but I mean, based on their last fight, Kyle Nelson, he's moving up weight class, took a couple years off. Jai Herbert, he knocked down Ilia Topuria. I mean, I just think Herbert's going to be able to maybe leg kick him, maybe just hit him with the bigger shots, and maybe it'll be an early night. But the price really sucks, but I just don't see a reason to bet Kyle Nelson here unless it's some kind of miraculous victory. My pick here is Jai Herbert. Fourth fight of the night, 125 pounds men's flyweight, arguably the most electrifying division right now. You got Muhammad, the Punisher, MOKAEV, making his second UFC appearance, taking on Charles Johnson, making his first UFC appearance. MOKAEV took on Cody Durden in his last fight, and I'm sorry, it was hard for me to find footage of his last fights. This one wasn't too long, but it is what it is. First round, just bounces in and out, gets out of range of Durden's hooks. He lands a step-in jump knee, drops him, pulls the guillotine, and then finishes on top in the mount and gets a submission. So, not much there. Cody Durden's really tough. He hits really hard, and MOKAEV finished him in like a minute. So it is what it is, man. 21 years old, and not too much data on him. Charles Johnson took on Carlos Mata, his last fight outside of the UFC. First round, he eats a right over his jab. His kick gets caught, and he gets taken down. But he gets his back taken, but he's able to turn in, and he's able to escape off of there. Not too much happens really in that round. Then in the second round, he lands a leg kick and some hooks inside the pocket. But then he eats a counter right over top of his jab. But then he eats some leg kicks, and he eats some body hooks at range when he comes in. But then he lands a 1-2 inside the pocket, and then a body kick. So starting to loosen up here a little bit. And then in the third round, he lands an uppercut to the body, but he eats a right hook and then a body kick. But he walks into a head kick, but he's able to land a hook combination, and then he gets a clinch to the fence, gets around his back, and then he just lands some knees there. And there's a couple more rounds there, but I'm only going to look at 3 rounds here. Charles Johnson plus 370, Muhammad MOKAEV minus 460, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't know too much. I'm not the best looking at guys outside the organization, and Muhammad is kind of an anomaly. I think this line is way out of whack, but I'm just going to go ahead and pick Muhammad because I just think he might be able to run through the guy. Maybe not run through the guy. I think it'll go longer than we think. I think Charles Johnson will be able to stand his ground. It all comes down to his takedown defense, really, but I don't think Muhammad's going to really rush the takedown. So it might be a striking battle there, and Muhammad might eat some more shots than we would like him to. But you want to go Muhammad by finish plus 100, which I'm not so sure about. But you want to go the fight over 2.5 minus 120. I think that's the deal. But I think Muhammad will be able to grind it out and eventually get those takedowns. My pick here is Muhammad MOKAEV. Next fight, 145 pounds, men's featherweight. You got AMIRKHANI taking on Jonathan Pearce. AMIRKHANI took on Mike Grundy his last fight. Very quick fight. Pulls guillotine off of Mike's double, switches to a Darce, hooks the leg, sits on his side and gets a submission, man. Really quick. Mike Grundy left his head exposed there, shooting that double. And then before that, he took on Lerone Murphy. In the first round, he lands a blast double from space, gets into side control immediately. Then he gets around the back standing, is able to pull him back down. Matt Returno maintaining control throughout the round. Second round, he lands a front kick, and then he stutter step, and then he shoots a double, and he gets KO'd with a knee because telegraphed it too much. That's how it goes. Quick submission, gets knocked the fuck out before that. So it is what it is. And then Jonathan Pearce took on Christian Rodriguez his last fight. In the first round, he lands a single from the inside the pocket. He's able to keep the clinch against the fence, doesn't let him breathe. And then he drops down, gets the crackdown position, and he's able to escape the guillotine. A little bit of trouble, not too much. But then he scrambles whenever he's taking his back, but he's finally is able to maintain control, sticks with him, and he gets his left leg in. Second round, he eats some 1-2s while he's coming into the pocket, but he's able to get the double off of his step-in jab, and then he takes his back, gets his left leg in again there, not really looking for submission necessarily, just trying to maintain control. Then he's able to get the body lock, but he gets bumped with the whizzer, but he's able to escape the armbar attempt, and then he's able to get around his back to end the round. Then in the third round, he eats an overhand right at range, but then he eats the overhand coming in, and he shoots a single, but then he gets reversed, and he gets put in the backpack, but he gets on his backpack position, then he eats some elbows in the pocket, but then he's able to land a 1-2, but then he's able to get the double leg again, and then he takes his back. This time, puts both hooks in, really secures it. No submission, but, you know, you can see steady progression throughout that fight there. And Jonathan Pearce, minus 190. And then AMIRKHANI plus 160, and this is boom or bust right here. The AMIRKHANI plus 160, he submits guys that shoot a lot. Christian Rodriguez got caught in a guillotine his last fight. I don't know, dude. I'm not super familiar with these guys, but it's either hit or miss. I'm going to go with the underdog here. I'm going to go with AMIRKHANI. I think he'll be able to pull a guillotine. AMIRKHANI's kind of first round or bust, so you just kind of got to pray that happens. But usually earlier on in the card, these first round guys can get it done. It's when you get to like the higher level, first round guys have a lot of trouble. But I don't know. I'm just going to ride with them. And then you want to go AMIRKHANI by finish plus 250. I think it's a play. AMIRKHANI. All right. Let's see here. We got the feature fight of the prelims, 145 pounds against men's featherweight. You got Nathaniel Wood making his long-awaited return, about a year-long layoff, taking on Charles Rosa. Nathaniel Wood coming up from 135, so that's something to keep in mind here. He took on Casey Kenny his last fight at bantamweight 135. First round, they both kind of traded leg kicks on the inside. He eats some hooks in the pocket exchange, though. But then he just walks into some straight lefts. Really has trouble finding his range this round. But then in the second round, he bounces on the outside, eats some hooks whenever he's pressing forward. Not too much happens, really. Then in the third round, he lands a jab from range. He gets taken down with the single, and he gives up his back against the fence. But then he eats a straight left, and whenever they're in the pocket exchange again, but then he lands a counter left hook in the pocket. And just had a lot of trouble getting in on Casey Kenny. Maybe the weight cut was getting to him a little bit. Who knows? But, you know, Casey Kenny is a good fighter, but Nathaniel Wood just looked a little sluggish, in my opinion. I mean, good fight. They were trading shots, but you think you just kind of want a little more out of him. And then Charles Rosa took on TJ Brown his last fight. In the first round, he lands some calf kicks on the outside, but he gets taken down off a body kick, pulls the guillotine, can't really do much with it, but then he gets pressed and he eats some straight rights and he gets taken down with a body lock at the end. Then in the second round, his hook gets slipped and he eats a counter and he gets doubled, but he reverses able to roll reverse with a Peterson, but he gets reversed when he was trying the armbar, so he's kind of submission over position. Then in the third round, he gets pressed and he eats an overhand right, and then he gets taken out with a double leg. But he's then back on the feet scramble. He's in a front headlock, and he's able to hip him over. But then he gets reversed with a single leg. You know, TJ is a really scrambly guy. And then he's able to get the darce from the clinch. He gets on his side, but can't finish it here. TJ Brown was able to escape. And then back on the feet, he eats a 1-2, and then he stuffs the shot with a darce. But, you know, short time and couldn't really get it in there. Charles Rosa plus 440, Nathaniel Wood minus 580. Yeah, dude, just out of sheer principle alone, I'm going to have to go Charles Rosa. Charles Rosa kind of gets dominated on the ground. Decent submission guy, I guess, but he never really gets them. If he doesn't get the submissions, he really doesn't have too much going for him. But Nathaniel Wood, over a year layoff, coming up from 35 to 145. And Charles Rosa plus 440 is insane. Nathaniel Wood should not be minus 580 against anybody. And I can see Charles Rosa, I can see him catching him in a submission, maybe not finishing it, but using that to sweep and get on top and just kind of control Nathaniel and clinch him up and slow him down here. We'll see, though. But my pick here, Charles Rosa. On to the co-main event of the prelims, 155 pounds men's lightweight. You got Mark DIAKIESE taking on Damir Hadzovic. Should be very interesting. Mark DIAKIESE took on Vyacheslav Borshev his last fight. In the first round, he shoots a double, and then he gets a clinch against the fence. He gives his back, and he eats some hooks, but then he's able to get the double leg, and he gets rolled through, but he gets back but he's able to get back up on his feet, and then he gets a double off the fence. So good scrambling position there. And then he gets a mat return around the back, and keeps getting called mat returns, sticks around his back. Now, I saw this fight live, and I was completely shocked. I've never seen Mark DIAKIESE wrestle before. Shows you I'm probably a filthy casual, but, you know, pretty amazing to see this live. Then in the second round, he gets a double from space, gets around his back, and he floats around the back, and he's able to stop any of the rolls that BOHM was trying on him, and, you know, he's really hip to it. He kept his hips in and, you know, really committed to that ride. Then in the third round, he just feints and gets a double from space, man. And brilliant game plan. Not too much striking here, but very effective for him. Then HADZOVIC took on Yancy Medeiros his last fight. In the first round, he lands a 1-2 from range. He walks into a 1-2, however, but then he lands a straight right and then a left hook, and then he lands a lead right hook and then a knee to the body and then a hook flurry, chases him down and makes him pay. Then he gets a foot sweep, and he's able to get his back from there. So used that position and didn't tire himself out punching him too much. Then in the second round, he lands a hook combination inside the pocket. He lands a step-in single leg takedown with the trip. Then he lands another hook flurry on the fence when they're back on the feet. But he eats a cross while he's just kind of standing at range, kind of just sitting there. And, you know, Demir, he would go for a flurry and then kind of reset for a second and take a breath. And that's when he would get hit. Then in the third round, he lands a right cross in the pocket and then another hook flurry, but he eats an uppercut and a hook while they're in the clinch, and he gets dragged down and gets his back taken, but he gets up, but then he gets tripped back down. So he had that initial urgency, but kind of accepted the position. Then he gets his back taken again at the end in a body triangle. So really falls off a cliff at the end there, but looked pretty good for the first 2 rounds. Did some damage. Demir plus 295. Mark DIAKIESE minus 360. Oh man, wow. I'm going to go with Mark DIAKIESE just because, I don't know, man. Honestly, I'm not super familiar with DIAKIESE, but studied his last fight, and I think he's going to be committed to this wrestling thing. I think Demir might land a couple shots, but I think Mark is going to make it a dirty, gritty fight, get in there, get the clinches, go for the double legs off the fence, something like that. Mark DIAKIESE might be able to stay at range and make Demir tire himself out. And, you know, Demir gets tired while he's hitting somebody, so maybe Mark can make a miss and make him tired like that. But the line is absolutely ridiculous, but I don't know, man. It is what it is. I just don't feel like Demir's going to get this one. But you want to go Mark DIAKIESE. Sorry, you want to go the whole fight over 2.5, minus 150. I think Mark DIAKIESE just grinds it out. Mark DIAKIESE. All right. On to the main event of the prelims. 155 pounds. Mason Jones taking on Ludovic Klein. This should be a fun scrap between 2 young bulls here. Mason Jones took on David Onama his last fight. In the first round, he gets pressed with the right hook, but he's able to circle out without taking too much damage. And then he rocks him with the step-in jab. And then he jabs and gets the collar tie, and then he's able to get the single into half guard. So really nice seeing him take authoritative positions there on the ground. And then he's able to get the mat return, and he takes his back, but then Onama is able to escape. No problem, though. Didn't get reversed, but then he eats an uppercut in the pocket. Then he gets a collar tie, and then lands a straight right. Then in the second round, he's able to close the distance with some jabs and then a straight right. And he gets around his back and pulls him down and gets him into the body triangle. Really nice seeing him go to that well again. But then he gets pressed and rocked with some 1-2s. But then he's able to get the clinch, avoid too much damage. But then he eats a big straight right while they're exchanging in the pocket. But then he's able to get his back while they're standing. Again, in another exchange. Then he lands his lead left hook to the clinch. And then he's able to hit a slide by, real slick, and then get his back again. So, you know, really making Onama work there. Onama, a big, powerful guy, and great game plan. In the third round, he lands a counter uppercut off of Onama's jab, but then he gets rocked with hooks, but he's able to get his blast double and get into full mount. Doesn't do too much damage, but still dominant position. Then he gets his hips up whenever Onama turns into him, and he keeps his clinch. Instead of getting reversed, he just kind of stands up with them, keeps the clinch. So I really like seeing that. Really smart, really tactical on the ground there. And then Ludovic Klein took on Devontae Smith his last fight. In the first round, he pressures at range, stalks forward, lands a 1-2 at range, and then he rocks him with a straight left, then follows up with a flurry, and then a 1-2, and then a head kick. Then in the second round, he eats a head kick, but whenever he's just kind of standing at range, just kind of gets caught there. And then he's able to get the double to the clinch on the fence. Stays there for minutes. Good or bad, I guess, but kind of slow the pace down. Take the fight to his pace. And then he's able to defend the blast double toward the end of the round. Then the third round, he's able to slip the straight shots, and then he lands a front body kick that hurts him, and then he lands a flurry, and then he's able to go to the clinch from there. But then he eats a 1-2 at range, but then he eats some plum knees and elbows at the end of the fight. But still looked decent there. Ludovit Klein plus 310, and Mason Jones minus 380. Again, this line's way crazy. And I'm not super familiar with either guy, to be honest with you, but I just really liked what I saw out of Mason Jones. I think he obviously got the grappling advantage. I think he's going to be able to get in Ludovit's face again and get those hooks, get a clinch, you know, kind of what I said about DIAKIESE in his fight. So I think he'll be able to get around his back, maintain control. Hopefully he's learned some things, doesn't get reversed as much against Onama. But minus 380 is a lot, so you want to go Mason Jones by decision, plus 180. I see this being a really grimy fight, but I see Mason Jones winning comfortable decision. My pick here, Mason Jones. On to the first fight of the main card, 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. You got Paul the Bear Jew Craig taking on Volkan No Time OEZDEMIR. This is a huge matchup for either guy. Volkan, it's basically do or die because he fought for a title before. And then Paul Craig, you know, if he wins, he's a magician and he can pull rabbits out of his ass every fight. So let's get into it. Paul Craig took on Nikita Krylov his last fight. In the first round, he's able to catch the kick, but he eats some hooks. But then he gets taken down with a single. And then Krylov switches off to a double. And then he gets put in half guard, eats some nasty ground and pound, dude. Like a lot of ground and pound. Almost kind of goes out for a second, but he's really tough. And then Nikita gets in a full guard, and he stands over top, ground and pounds him over top of him, all the leverage in the world. But then he lands an up kick, threatens a triangle real quick, and then he uses the butterfly guard, and then he's able to get the triangle in, man. With a minute left, gets a triangle, almost makes him go to sleep, dude. Don't know how he does it, but he did it, man. And I bet against him, and yeah, man, it really sucked. But Volkan No Time OEZDEMIR took on MOKAEV his last fight on Fight Island. In the first round, he lands a left cross and an uppercut off of Ankalaev straight, but then he gets dropped with a 1-2, just kind of standing there at range. Got caught slipping a little bit. Then he heats a counter hook off of his jab. Then the second round, he eats a straight left when they're inside the pocket, but his body kick gets caught and he gets taken down. And then he gets up, but then he gets his back taken from there and he tries to escape, but you know, Ankalaev stuck on him like glue. Then in the third round, he walks into a jab and then a hook. His kick gets caught and he eats a 1-2 and then a head kick, but he's able to stuff Ankalaev's blast double toward the end there. But, you know, he looked okay in the beginning, but it was really those takedowns that didn't go well for him. Paul Craig not necessarily going to be aggressive with the takedowns, but, you know, he is a decent grappler and he might get a tricky trip or something like that. Volkan minus 155, Paul Craig plus 135. Just out of sheer principle, I have to go with Paul Craig here. On the feet, we'll see. Paul Craig isn't awful on the feet. Definitely not as good as Volkan, though. But I think Volkan might just take his time looking for the perfect shot, the big power shot. And I think Paul Craig will be able to move around him and stay on the outside and then maybe get Volkan to rush into him and clinch him up there and maybe get some kind of trip or something like that. Maybe get a standing guillotine or something. Who knows? But you just got to go with Paul Craig on principle. And then Paul Craig by submission plus 250. Not necessarily saying that's how he's going to win, but it's probably how he's going to win. My pick here is Paul Craig. Second fight on the main card, 125 pounds, women's flyweight. You got Molly Meatball McCann taking on Hannah Goldy, the Muscle Queen. Okay, Molly McCann took on the Juana Carolina her last fight, last UFC London in March. In the first round, she's in and out. She catches a kick. She presses with she dips the overhand right, and she's able to rock her with that, and then she lands a flurry on her, just kind of goes a little nuts there, but then she lands a right hook to the body, then to the head. She's able to catch the kick, land a left hook, and then she lands an overhand right in the clinch, and then another flurry. Really going crazy here, feeling the hometown crowd. Then in the second round, she eats a body kick, then she lands some straights to the body, and then she gets to the clinch, and then she gets a double off the fence, right into side control, really nice there, trying to take dominant position. But then she eats some back on the feet, eats some elbows in the overhook. But then she's able to get the double leg takedown at the end of the round. Really nice way to seal it there. Then in the third round, she gets pressed with the clinch battle against the fence, but she's able to land a lead left hook whenever she gets pressed. And then she's able to catch her kick, ducks under her jab, lands a spinning back elbow, knocks her the fuck out for like 5 minutes. It was a murder. You know, really good stuff I saw. She didn't seem to be getting too tired, so I like seeing that. Then Hannah Goldy took on Emily Whitmire, her last fight. Really quick one. In the first round, she eats some leg kicks at range. She gets pressed, eats a 1-2, but then she's able to get the clinch on the fence, keeps the underhook, but then she gets taken out with the hip toss, a little too much pressure. And then she stands up in the clinch, she's able to get to her feet, but then she gets hip tossed again with the same move. But then this time she's able to snatch an armbar from guard and get the submission. You know, just quick, easy, clean submission and snatch it. She was losing a fight, getting taken down, but you know, so good for her. Hannah Goldy plus 320, Molly McCann minus 390. You know, I just see Molly McCann just taking it to her, man. Hannah Goldy, I think her best chance is probably some sort of catching some sort of submission. I think Molly is going to be hip to that. Molly might get caught in something, but I think it might even be close. I think she's going to be able to wiggle her way out of there. Doesn't necessarily need to keep it on the feet. I think she'll keep it on the feet until she gets Hannah Goldy overcommitting. Maybe go for a takedown. Maybe just light her up. But it's lower level women's MMA, so Hannah Goldy might just get that submission, and if it is, I'll have to eat all my words. But I'm going to go with Molly McCann here. Molly McCann, KO, plus 400, might as well. Molly Meatball McCann. Third fight on the main card, 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. You got Nikita Krylov taking on Alexander Gustafsson, making his return after 2 years off. 2 years ago, he took on Fabricio Verdum at heavyweight. Didn't look great. Now he's back down 205. Let's see if he can get it going again. Huge opportunity for either guy. Gustafsson, if he doesn't win this, probably never going to fight again. Krylov, you know, took a loss to Ankalaev, and if he wins this one, it's going to be a big boost in the stock. So Nikita took on Magomed Ankalaev his last fight. In the first round, he's able to get around his back standing on the cage, pulls him down. Can't keep him down for too long though, but really nice way to set the tone early. Then he lands a body kick, but he eats a counter right cross from Magomed. But then he lands some front kicks and throws some 1-2s. And then in the second round, he circles on the outside and he eats some kicks. And then he presses with the 1-2 and then a head kick, but he misses and he gets taken down off of his spinning back kick attempt, ill-advised. But then he's able to get the butterfly guard. Can't really do much with it, but at least he's trying to get up. Oh, real quick, and then, you know, Nikita took on Paul Craig before this, but not much happened. He was beating the shit out of him, got him on the ground, and then got tapped out with the triangle. So this is his fight before that, where there's actually some good data here. Okay, and then in the third round, he lands he steps in, but he eats a right hook for Magomed. Then he shoots a double, but it's way too far out, like way too far out. Then he gets taken down with the inside trip on the fence, and he gets up, but he stays clinched, and then he gets mat returned a bunch and can't get out. So he looked good there at the beginning, but Magomed's kind of always been a slow starter, in my opinion, so. And then Alexander Gustafsson took on Anthony Smith. This was like 4 years ago, I believe, something like that. 2017 or 2018, it was a long time ago. Maybe not that long. Sorry, I don't have the exact date. But it was a long time ago. This was his last fight at 205. I didn't want to look at the heavyweight one. But anyway, in the first round, he circles on the outside, lands some front kicks and oblique kicks. Then he eats a step-in left hook from Anthony. Then he lands a lead left at the end of the round and kind of rocked him a little bit. Then in the second round, he dips with a step-in hook, and then he feints a jab, but he gets cut off from Anthony, eats a head kick, but then he gets pressed again, eats an uppercut, then he eats a lead left hook, and whenever they're in a pocket, but then he backs out, doesn't want to take too much damage. And then in the third round, he lands a step-in 1-2, and then he counters with the overhand, then he lands a jab, and then a leg kick, then he lands a straight right whenever he gets pressed, but he eats a hook against the fence. Anthony's able to cut him off there. Then he lands a right cross, and then a left hook to the body. And then he's able to rock him with a double jab. Just kind of, Anthony's standing at range. Bam, bam. Rocks him. He's got some power in his jab there. Then he lands a 1-2 over top of Anthony straight. And then he rocks him with the body kick. And then he takes him down with the body lock. Maybe not the best move if you heard him, but whatever. Wins that round. But then in the fourth round, basically, his double attempt gets stuffed. And then their scramble, Anthony gets his back and chokes him out. And it just looked like he kind of gave up because the momentum was going in his favor. I don't know, man, but it was a long time ago. So Gustafsson plus 180, Nikita Krylov minus 210. I don't know. The money on Gustafsson is very juicy, but I just can't trust it. Out of all good consciousness, I don't care what the line is. It's been a very long time. Who knows why he's coming back? It's been 2 years. Nikita Krylov is no punk. He was semi-competitive like Ankalaev, who a lot of people think will be champion soon. I don't necessarily, but a lot of people do, so I don't know, man. It's hard to say what Gustafsson is even going to do. I mean, he utilizes his range well, keeps space. He's able to keep him off with those front kicks, utilize those long jabs, but I think KRYLOV is a dog, and I think he'll be able to get on the inside and make it dirty, you know? So, I'm going to go with Nikita KRYLOV, minus 210. If Gustafsson wins, I will be surprised, but I won't be surprised. But Nikita KRYLOV, too many red flags, in my opinion. All right. The feature fight of the main card, 155 pounds, men's lightweight. You got Paddy the Baddie Pimblett. Oh, Paddy the Baddie. Taking on Jordan, the Monkey King Leavitt. And whoever loses this fight is going to get twerked on and or teabagged. So, anyway, Pimblett took on Rodrigo Vargas his last fight last March, UFC London. In the first round, he gets pressed and he eats a hook, and then his takedown attempt gets stuffed, and then he gets hipped over and he's on his back, but he's able to keep the underhook, and then he goes for the butterfly, and then he gets up against the fence, and then he has his overhook, and he steps through and hip tosses him with that overhook, and it was beautiful to see, like, flat on his back. And then he's able to get around his back whenever he tries to get up, and he gets the body triangle and takes his time and gets the rear naked choke submission with the body triangle against the fence. So, you know, Paddy might get beat up a little bit early, but he came through, man. And he's good on the ground. And then Jordan Leavitt took on Trey Ogden his last fight. In the first round, he presses forward with some front kicks. He like leans all the way back into it, puts a lot of weight into them. But then he eats a check hook while he's coming in, but he's able to catch the kick. And then see, Ogden falls down, but Jordan Leavitt gets on top of him in a full guard, doesn't do too much damage, but then he gets caught in a guillotine, then he gets into a mounted guillotine toward the end of the round. I guess I'll give the round to Trey Ogden, but whatever. Then in the second round, he lands some light kicks at range. He lands some front kicks, but he eats some 1-2s, and he gets pushed back towards the cage. He's against the cage a lot of this fight, but then he shoots a single leg way too far out and gets stuffed. Then in the third round, he dives for a single, and he gets pancaked, but then he tries the butterfly, has double overhooks, and he elevates them with his legs, and he's able to get up, stand up, so at least, you know, he's just utilizing it well, not just sitting down there looking for submission. And then he pressures forward, but then he eats some straight shots, but then he gets clinched and taken down with a back trip. But he's able to, back on his feet, he gives up his back standing up against the fence, but he's able to stand up using the fence, so he's staying on his feet, and he has a sense of urgency now. And then he lands some right crosses in the pocket, able to stuff a double leg attempt, pancake him, get on top, and finish the fight strong. Doesn't do too much crazy damage, mostly stays in full guard, but he stacks him over top and doesn't want him to escape, and, you know, gets a split decision victory. I thought it was a hard-fought win, and I thought he earned it. Now, Jordan Leavitt plus 210, Paddy Pimblett minus 250. I don't know, man. My gut's telling me Paddy Pimblett's going to win, but I just don't want to bet that much money on him. I think Jordan Leavitt has a shot here. I don't think Jordan Leavitt is super superior to Paddy on the ground, but I guess we're going to find that out here. I just think if Jordan Leavitt can survive the first round, I think Paddy, you know, he's going to lose a little bit of juice. He's going to lose a little bit of zing on his punches. And I think Jordan Leavitt will be able to utilize the front kick, keep him off of him. Maybe Paddy gets a little too overzealous. Maybe Jordan can take him down with a trip, or maybe hip into him and pancake him like he did. I don't know, man. We'll see. I just don't like this money on Paddy Pimblett. My pick here is Jordan Leavitt, the Monkey King. The co-main event of the evening, 185 pounds, men's middleweight. Got Jack the Joker Hermansson taking on Chris Action Man Curtis. Chris stepping in short notice for Darren Till, but I'm actually kind of more excited because Chris Curtis is on a roll. Also, he's not even a true welterweight. Let's get into this one real quick. Hermansson took on Sean Strickland his last fight. Sean Strickland is Chris Curtis' training partner. In the first round, he bounces at range. He gets backed up with some jabs, but he shoots a double to the fence, and then he gets on Sean's back quickly, but Sean's able to slide him off real quick. Doesn't do anything at all. And then he misses the overhand off of Sean's jab, and then his combinations are too short. And then he starts pressing with some leg kicks, but doesn't really do too much, and then he lands the overhand off. His overhand is too short, and he tries to throw it off Sean's jab, doesn't really do much, and then throughout this whole fight, he just gets jabbed out by Sean pretty much at range. Then in the second round, he tries to slip the jabs, and he tries to get inside with the hooks, but they're just too short. Sean's backing out of the way. And then his double attempt is way too far out, and then he slips a jab. He slips the jab, lands a 1-2 to the body, though, but doesn't really do much, like 1-2 straight shots, but Sean's backing out. Then he gets dropped with a counter right hook right at the end of the second round. Then in the third round, he dips and throws overhand, but they're too short. Same old story, and there's 2 more rounds of that, basically. Just cannot get the takedowns going, and they're so telegraphed and they're too far out, in my opinion. And then Chris Curtis took on Rodolfo Vieira his last fight. Perfect matchup for him because Rodolfo just shot takedowns relentlessly. In the first round, he pressures at range, lands a 1-2 off of his jab. He's able to stuff the shot with the overhook, throws his hips in, actually gets half guard for a second, but doesn't want to play on the ground with him. Really good IQ from Chris Curtis. And then he immediately gets his hips back whenever he shoots another single. He gets all the way back to the cage and he pushes the head down. And then again, he's able to frame off the double, land some punches to the body, but he eats a 1-2 at range, but okay. Then he eats a jab, but he returns with a body hook. And then, Chris Curtis kind of loses the first round a lot, so it's kind of what it was, but it wasn't like dominant, but he wasn't really concerned with winning the first round. Then in the second round, he eats a jab, but he looks for a hook counter, and then he eats a jab, but he's able to defend the single on the fence again. Then he presses forward with a body hook, and then he presses with some straight shots, lands a head kick, and then left and right hooks, and then he presses with the straight left, and then another hook to the body, and just keeps investing in the body. Just really good performance from him. Then in the third round, he keeps pressing with some hooks, gets a little more aggressive here, and then he kicks out of the single leg attempt, and then he lands an uppercut to the body as soon as he's out, and then he lands some straight lefts at range, and then he dips, lands a 1-2 to the body, and then dips, lands a 1-2, and then an uppercut to the body, and then he eats a jab, but he counters with the 1-2, and just kept going in Rodolfo's face, and by the end, he got more and more confident to get in the pocket with him, because he knew he could stuff all the takedowns. Didn't get taken down one time. Beautiful performance. Chris Curtis, -105, Jack Hermansson, -115. It's even money. I'm going to go with Chris Curtis, man. I think it's going to play out very similarly to the Rodolfo fight. I think Jack is going to be shooting from way too far out. I think Curtis is going to be able to stuff most of them. Maybe he can take it down once or twice, but even if he does give up a round, I think second and third round he's going to be turning it on, landing shots to the body, making him pay, landing some leg kicks. Not too much to say here, really. But if Hermansson gets a clean takedown, Curtis could get in trouble, but I think he knows what's happening, and he just fought Vieira not too long ago, and I think he's going to be primed for it. Plus, he's training with Sean Strickland. All the intangibles are there. My pick here is Chris Action Man Curtis. All right, on to the main event of the evening. I'm really excited for this one. 265 pounds, men's heavyweight. You got Curtis Razor Blaydes taking on Tom Aspinall. Huge implications. Obviously, Francis Ngannou is out with an injury. They don't know what they're doing with John Jones or Stipe if they're ever going to fight. But in September, you got Tai Tuivasa and Cyril Gane fighting. So the winner of this fight not necessarily promised anything, but they need to win this fight to be in the conversation for an interim title or a title shot or anything like that, or a vacant title even. So huge implications for either guy. And then if Tom Aspinall wins this, he will just be on an insane run. And then if Curtis Blaydes, he's looking to say, hey, I've been here, took a couple losses, but I'm back here now, and you're not going to get rid of me. So let's get into this here. Curtis Blaydes took on Chris Daukaus his last fight in Columbus. In the first round, he's at range, pumps some jabs and some leg kicks. Then he lands a step-in right cross, jabs, and he backs out of the range of hooks of Daukaus. Really like seeing that, really defensively responsible here. And then he lands a left cross whenever he gets pressed, and then he lands a straight right, but he eats some hooks. But then he covers up and circles out of the way, so it doesn't take too much damage, doesn't just stand there. Then in the second round, he drops him with the right hook. Right hook countered whenever Daukaus throws a right hook, just kind of steps in, beats him there, and drops him, TKO, couple elbows. Hurt him really bad. So, and did not take one shot, one takedown. And, very interesting approach, but I like seeing that, man. Curtis Blaydes got hands now. He can knock people out, also establish a jab. Really refreshing. And the Tom Aspinall took on Alexander Volkov his last fight, March, UFC London. In the first round, he bounces, steps in, lands a 1-2-3 combination, backs out. Then he backs out of the hook range, and he pumps his leg kicks. And then he lands a step in, gets a body lock trip off of Volkov's jab. And then he keeps the right underhook, lands some vicious elbows. And then he tries to get the half guard Kimura, but Volkov has his back against the fence, so Tom doesn't pursue it incessantly, and he just kind of lets him up. And then he lands some jabs, leg kicks, and he's able to duck the jab, get the double leg, go right into half guard, and then just get straight arm lock. Submission, man. Nobody's ever done that to Volkov. Tom Aspinall was just way faster than him. He timed him perfectly. As soon as he threw the jab, shot in for that double. It's just a beautiful performance. Tom Aspinall -135, Curtis Blaydes +115. I'm going to have to go with Curtis Blaydes here. There's so many unknowns here. Tom Aspinall hasn't been out of the second round, but I'm not punishing him for that. I don't think That's not his fault. That's good. That's what you want to do. You want to knock everybody out or submit everybody as quick as you can. But I just think Curtis Blaydes has more tools. What happens when Tom Aspinall gets to the 4th and 5th round if he gets that far? I don't know, man. I guess I kind of am punishing him, but I just think Curtis Blaydes as an underdog, you got to go with him. If Aspinall was the underdog, I might go with him. But you just got to go with Curtis Blaydes, man. He has more tools. His striking looks okay. It looks decent. He's probably improved on it. And if he has to, he can go for that double leg. I don't think Aspinall is going to take Curtis down. And if he does, you know, actually, I don't know. That would be interesting. Just so many unknowns. But Curtis Blaydes is the underdog. He's been proven before. He's vicious on the ground. My pick here is Curtis Razor Blaydes. All right, everyone. Thanks for rolling with me. I appreciate it. Successful week last weekend. This fight card is a monster. 14 fights. Hopefully we get 14 in a row. But it is what it is as long as we make some money. Leave a comment down below. Check my Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that stuff. Comments, questions. Ask me if you guys got any tips for me because I could always do better. Let me know. Let's see some upsets. Let's see some violence. Let's see some profits. Good luck, everyone.